Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Women Petpreneurs Podcast with your host, Mario Quendo. So, my guest today is Sharita Good. Hey, Sharita.
Hey.
I'm so happy you're here. You came highly recommended by Denise, but I already knew of you, not knew you, knew of you. So, I want to start off with first of all, how did you get involved in the pet industry?
Honestly, it's so weird. So I am from a little town in North Carolina, called Irwin, North Carolina. My grandparents being raised, we weren't allowed to have dogs at all. In the country, a lot of time people will come and drop strays off in the country. And so honestly, I used to would take my grandmother's bread, like a loaf of bread, and see the dogs and go outside and feed them. And my grandparents was wondering why the animals would never leave our house, but it was me feeding them. So whenever I got to high school, one of my friends' mom was a veterinarian, and they allowed me to come and do volunteer work with them. So I went and did volunteering work, and when I went to college, I actually went to North Carolina A&T and went to school to be a veterinarian. And here I am, a dog groomer.
Okay, so let me just stop you right here. That is almost precisely the same path for me. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a suburb. I did grow up in the suburbs, but it was the suburbs of New York City.
Uh-huh.
So people would dump their dogs in, that nice neighborhood, and we would
Yes.
dump there all the time. There is like, I have an image burned in the back of my brain of some guy literally throwing his German Shepherd out of the car.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Right? And this dog chasing after him as he drove off. I that is
Oh
I'm going
no.
to die with that vision in my brain. But
That
I
is so
also
sad.
but
Yeah.
I also volunteered at a local vet's office, and I was
Uh-huh.
kennel help, so I got to clean out all the cages of all the dogs that were surrendered, okay?
Yes.
Never came up to pay their vet bill or whatever. And this guy had, quite the collection of vet dogs there. And my job was to keep the cages clean, walk them. But I also probably got my first taste of how important cleanliness is. Okay. And
Yes.
not just the cages. Okay. It was it wasn't a huge practice. It was a very small practice. So
Hmm.
he really had to be up on keeping everything clean. So that's probably where I got that, you know what, we need to be clean when we're working with animals things.
Yes.
I was also on my way to becoming a veterinarian. I was in the pre-vet program over at Lehman College in the Bronx, but I
Uh-huh.
instead dropped out, got pregnant, got married.
Well, guess what? Yeah, we got about the same story. What happened to me. But when I did the volunteer work, like I was on the borderline. I still went to North Carolina A&T to be in the vet program. But what happened was one day they had me to assist them with euthanasia. And I said, I can't do it. I could not do it. No, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And I ended up being in the dog room, and then I actually took it on because I needed a part-time job and I needed some money. So I was like, oh, bathing dogs won't be that hard. And it went into a career.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I started off as a bather for corporate. And that's how I got my start as in the pet industry as well. Okay.
Yes.
So kindred spirits. So all right. So you became a groomer. All right.
Uh-huh.
So take us from there. What happened then?
So I became a dog groomer. And honestly, whenever I first started grooming, I think probably like year 2 or 3, I was questioning myself if this is really what I wanted to do, because my skills were not where I wanted them to be at. Like a lot of groomers, I started out in PetSmart in corporate. So in PetSmart and Petco's, sometimes you may have a salon manager that may not know like certain show grooms or tell you certain techniques that you can do with grooming. They just do basic shave downs. And I remember one of my friends, she came in from California and she became the manager at the PetSmart that I was at. And she decided to step out on her own. And while she was in PetSmart, she actually was training me how to do like schnauzers in the show cut. And certain points that she was telling me, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Nobody's ever told me that. I was just taught to just do shave downs. I never did scissoring, the combs. Oh my gosh, when a customer would say they wanted a comb cut, I would panic because I at that time we were using those plastic combs, and I was like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah,
it would get.
we're dating ourselves. Okay.
Yes, I was just like, oh my god, no, I cannot do this. So I questioned myself, and she actually started her own business. So I went and helped her, and being able to help her in a more small business where it didn't feel like that I was having to get out 12, 13 dogs allowed me to actually bring my skills up to par, and it's just been amazing since then.
And then I had the somewhat opposite with Petco. I went through Petco school, and at the time it was great. It was taught by Terry Tomlinson, and I was paired with somebody who was, I would say, a real groomer. So I had really good skills
Uh
going while I was there. But corporate nonsense.
huh.
I went out on my own. In fact, while I was there, I was considering competing because I had two Bichons that the owners wanted in a show trim. I could have taken them to shows and competed with them. But then, again, corporate nonsense. I left, and neither one of them wanted to pay mobile grooming prices, which was fine, but, I then settled into pet grooming, and let me tell you something, when the metal clip-on combs came out, it was a hallelujah moment.
Yes, yes, it was. Whenever they came out with those metal combs, I was like, "Thank you, Jesus." I love doing these cuts now, but before those plastic combs, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I actually, one of my clients actually gave me some plastic combs. So one day I was doing my own personal dog, and I was like, "Let me see if these are still the same." Man, I put that thing on there and I threw it in the trash so quick. I was like, "There's no way nobody would pay me to go back to these plastic combs."
Okay, so let's just veer off just a little bit, all right? This is
Uh-huh.
why we go to trade shows, okay? Because all the new equipment is there,
Right.
okay? The new equipment is there. I can remember being at Super Zoo, and I'm a new groomer, okay?
Uh-huh.
I'm grooming, I probably was mobile at this point, but I was still a new groomer, okay? And there was this product there, and it was the first time they were at a show, and it was the Happy Hoodie,
Oh god.
okay?
Uh-huh.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to try these things. And I bought them, and I bought two sets, one for two sets of friends of mine. Okay. And I brought it
Uh-huh.
home and I tried them. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. And what's nice about hooking up with small companies is that the owner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Happy Hoodies, of course, has been sold, but at the time, it was like, oh my God, these things are awesome. You need to send me more. You need to send me
Yeah.
out. Okay. And they were like, I still say they're like God's gift to groomers. But anyway,
They
this is
are.
you go to a trade show, you find the new products, the new equipment, the new scissors. Oh my God, scissors, the evolution of scissors from the time
Man,
we started grooming.
I got like 85 pair of scissors. I went to go count my shears the other day and I just gave up. I said, "Are you serious?" Like I look like a hoarder with with
Oh,
shears.
so when I retired. So when I retired, I'm going through my scissors. I'm like, how did I accumulate all of these scissors? And so, like, my daughter, who's also a groomer,
Uh-huh.
I just shipped up like literally a box of scissors to her here, and I still had more scissors. Okay, I did keep a set of swivel shears because
Uh-huh.
you never know. Like right now, all my dogs are short-coated dogs, but you never know when a dog with hair might end up in my household, and I'm going to actually have to groom the dog.
Right.
Though I'm going to admit to the last time my dogs were boarded, I'm like, can you give them a bath and do their nails for me? I'd really appreciate it.
Don't feel bad. I'm the groomer that takes the dog to the groomer. Don't feel bad.
So, but trade shows are a wonderful place to go. And I always, even though I have like an online educational platform, I'm still telling you, go to a trade show. It's the only way you're going to see the new equipment. So on that note, maybe we just segue into our sponsor, which is the Rocky Mountain Groom Expo in Colorado Springs. Okay. And this is their second year they're up. I missed the first year because of a scheduling conflict, but I will be there. And I am teaching my 6-hour mobile grooming class. Okay. I heard which is why I'm there this year, because I heard such wonderful things about the show last year.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah, right. I heard a lot of really good things from a first year show. So and it's in an area that needs to have a grooming show. So go your local, support it. Okay. She's doing something a little bit unique, in which she has a class that is being taught on how to compete. It's like a mock grooming class. So you take the class and then you compete with the other people in the class. And then you have judges come by and sort of like kind of walk you through the process. How do you compete? What's involved with it? So I thought that was really unique. The other thing that
That's a very good idea. Very good idea.
Right. I thought that was pretty genius. And the other thing, which is just like, I'm very food motivated. All right. I literally, I could sit through the most boring thing in the world if there's food involved with it. Want me to sit through a timeshare sales pitch? Okay.
Have food there.
If there's food there, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. Not going to make me buy it, but nonetheless, through it. Okay. So tickets go on sale really soon. Registration's opening up on May 1st. And the website is RockyMountainGroomExpo.com. So get yourself to the show. So now back to Sharita. And the reason why I wanted you here, why I asked you here. I am a huge believer in giving back to not only to an industry that has been like so good to me, but just giving back in general.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about what it is you're doing and why Denise was singing your praises.
I love Denise.
She loves you. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I am the founder of Diamond in the Rough, which is a nonprofit dog grooming organization that I decided to put together. A lot of people always ask, where does the name come from? Diamond in the Rough. So here's the feedback on Diamond in the Rough. Diamond in the Rough is actually my personal story. So we help the pets and give back to the pets, but we also help women and men in domestic violence situations. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, 14 years. Dog grooming saved my life whenever it came into me in this situation. So I collab both of them together. So you know how when you find a diamond, it's really ugly and dirty, and you have to continue to keep cleaning it up. And once you get it clean, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Everybody wants a diamond. So that's how my story was. My story in the beginning, it was an ugly, ugly situation. But as I continued to keep going, I kept continuing to groom. I kept kept pushing myself. The dogs really, like, whenever I would go in to go to work, there was times I would go to work, the inside of my mouth was busted. Nobody knew. But the dogs would just like give me that relief. And it was just being around a lot of other groomers that understood my situation that gave me the strength to get out of that situation. So I decided to do Diamond in the Rough to be able to help a lot of people financially also, because I understand I don't do it because I just want the publicity. I do it because I've been there. So I understand whenever it's a financial strain and you have to make a decision on whether I'm going to pay my bills, provide for my kids, or my dog is going to get groomed. Obviously, in that situation, you're going to pick to take care of that mother's going to take care of her child and make sure her kids have food on the table instead of getting the dog groomed. So the dog goes lacking. So this is just my way of being able to give back. Since COVID, a lot of people have ran into financial situations and they have not been able to get back on their feet. So I do get asked, how do I decide who gets the help? Honestly, you have no idea because some people could be in a very expensive car, a Lexus, Mercedes Benz, and everything. And because they're driving that car, our society is so quick to judge and say, oh, they got the money to pay for it. And honestly, guess what? That car could be paid for, or it could have been a gift, and they really have a financial bond, and they're ashamed to ask because people are so quick to judge.
You know,
And so,
as a mobile groomer, I was in people's houses and I would pull up to like literally huge houses. Okay.
mhm,
2 Mercedes, Lexus, whatever in the driveway
mhm,
and no furniture in the house.
yeah,
All right.
yep,
Nothing. And it's not like and not like they weren't working. They were working. Okay.
mhm,
But their jobs required an appearance.
yeah,
Okay. So were they in a house they couldn't afford? Absolutely. Were in they cars they couldn't afford? Absolutely. But I think there's almost like this trap, where you have to, I don't judge. I absolutely do
yeah.
not.
I don't
I
either.
just know walking in that house, there was no furniture. Okay. People were sleeping on the floors
Mhm,
and not a whole lot of food in the house. So there
yeah.
wasn't full pantries. It was, there's enough food for today and tomorrow. Let's see about the next day.
Right. And that's the thing is like it's just I've been there and I understand it. And just the fact of knowing that there's other women, even fathers, and a lot of people think you just talk about women, but there's men out here that go through the same exact thing. And so just the fact of even knowing that people are going through situations like that. Like for Christmas, we help families, and man, the submission, I was only going to take 5 families, and I ended up getting 30 families that applied. The stories that were on there had me in tears, and the reason for being is because it brought back memories of me with my kids, because I was a single mom with 4 kids. I didn't have the opportunity during my career to be able to go to trade shows because I had to make sure that my kids were taken care of. So I made sacrifices. Whereas now, into my 21-year career, I'm able to move and maneuver a lot more because my youngest son, is getting ready to graduate. So it gives me a lot more flexibility because they're not as dependent on me. They're still dependent on me, even though my kids are grown. But it's like I can go now and do more things, and I don't have to worry like, okay, is my kid or my kids gonna have food, or is my kids this, is this gonna happen, is this and that and everything. So I get it. I totally get it. And that's what Diamond in the Rough is. We believe in giving second chances. We believe in turning an ugly situation into something beautiful. I don't judge anybody at all in Diamond in the Rough. So that's one thing. Whenever people come and talk to me about being a part of it, I tell them, look, we're no judgment zone. We're no drama. Anyone's anyone's past anything they got going on now, guess what? They may just need a listening ear. So that's part of where Diamond in the Rough comes in too. We help with the youth also, trying to help a lot of youth into having a trade, because we've always been to where we've been told growing up. I was told when you get out of high school, you got to go straight to college. There's no exception about it. Nothing is, they're not being, sometimes college is not meant for every child. Just getting them to graduate was enough for them. And then the fact to know that, okay, now they got to go maybe 4 more years or more in that, sometimes it's not meant for them. So we try to help them get into a trade where they'll always be able to have something to fall back onto.
All right. So tell me some of the things that you as a nonprofit now, and I know it is not easy to get a nonprofit.
Mm-mm.
All right. It is not. And so I'm just going to do a little plug here for Denise. Okay. So there was once something called the Groomers Emergency Assistance Fund, and I was part of that years and years and years ago. Uh, it was a nonprofit. It was very, very difficult and expensive to get a nonprofit status. It's not, the IRS does not give them out. They're like, oh yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. We'll give you nonprofit. No. Does not work that way.
Right.
Okay. And the reason I'm going to make mention of this is because Denise is going to start promoting what she's doing, and she's going to need funds. Okay.
Yes.
So if you have it, donate it. But anyway, so we used to help groomers in disaster type situations.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of nonprofits, it's nobody gets paid. There's a lot of work that goes along with it.
Right.
Burns people out. So
Yeah.
first question for you is going to be, how do you prevent the burnout?
Me and my board members. So honestly, my board members that I have, their passion and that is just like mine. We work together a whole lot. We do fundraisers, and I understand like you have the grants and things that you can apply for out here, where some people make it seem like these grants are easy. They're not easy to get at all. If
Oh,
you don't have a grant writer, if you don't have a grant writer, you're gonna have a hard time. It's really hard trying to get grants. So I'm Diamond in the Rough is basically based off in sponsorship and donations. We actually we really have been blessed because I'm gonna be honest, coming into Diamond in the Rough and being a nonprofit, I was just like, okay, God, just lead the way. I don't know what I'm doing. Everything is a trial and error right now with me. And I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. So everything really just came together for me. So we have an event coming up with show season where they're actually going to help try to raise money. So everything is done by donations and sponsorships with us. And with fundraisers that we do on the side also. Like we have a groomathon coming up where me and the girls are just going to groom until we can't groom anymore. And we did the grooms at a discounted price. And all the funds will go towards Diamond in the Rough to help us with traveling because we're getting asked to come out into the western part of the United States, which we know now if we're going out that far, it's going to cost us more money to be able to travel that far.
yeah. So let's bring up some point. It is not cheap to run a nonprofit. It is
No.
even if the board members are doing this for free and they are not taking a salary from doing this, all right, there are expenses. Okay. You have to have an accountant. You have to file every year with the IRS.
Yes.
And that accountant to file for you is not cheap unless you could figure out a way how to do it yourself. And if you got someone who could do it, consider yourself blessed. Trying to get those grants that requires a grant writer. Okay. They're not cheap either.
No.
I mean, they pay for themselves, but the only way you're going to get that money if somebody knows how to write that grant.
Yes. And then some of those grants, they even ask for you to pay to apply for the grant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which kind of defeats the purpose.
That's what I was like, okay, why am I paying to apply for the grant? I'm like, okay, I'm confused. But and when
Okay,
I kept
I'm going to tell you why. All right. And this is the same reason why. So when I was still a stay-at-home mom, my last stay-at-home daughter, all right, was putting me through the ringer. She was baiting her father. Her father was stupid enough to let her bait him. So it was getting really miserable in the house. Okay. So there came a day that I was like really, really fed up and I had enough of both of them. Okay. And I got the application from the military school, which was in Kingston, New York, which was maybe an hour from where I lived. But put in the application, there was a $2,500 non-refundable application. And the reason for that is because they got tired of parents threatening their kids in military school and putting in applications and wasting their time.
And not going through with it. Yeah.
Not going through. Now the $2,500 would go towards the tuition. But it was, so I wrote out the check, I stapled it to the application and I showed my daughter. And I said, if I mail this on Monday, it was like Friday. If I mail this on Monday, you're going to military school if you don't stop your nonsense. And she goes to me, well, how are they going to keep me there? And I told them, I don't particularly care how they keep you there. And I am sure they have a lot of experience with kids like you. So
Yeah.
I don't, I'm paying them to educate you and keep you there. Okay. I'm paying a lot of money. So this check goes in the mail on Monday. You're going. All right. Now she wasn't perfect by Monday, but she was livable again.
I bet you didn't want to go to that military school on Monday.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
But again, I see that's why they have application fees, is to weed out those who are just, again, wasting their time.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
and so now you travel. Explain the travel that you do.
Okay. So and that's another thing. So Diamond in the Rough was really supposed to be just for the Carolinas, for my home state. And when other groomers start finding out about it, they start reaching out to me and was like, "Can you come into our state?" And I'm like, "Are y'all for real?" And they're like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay, so now we got to figure out, okay, how are we going to go to the different states?" So our first stop was in Tennessee. We did Tennessee. And I was like, wow, that wasn't bad at all. I drove to Tennessee, will never do it again. Callie and Crystal, which are my board members, they flew to Tennessee. After they got there in about an hour and a half, I wish I had flew too. But so basically, what we do whenever it comes to traveling, like for Atlanta, no, so for Tennessee, Pearl, which is Pearl Sharp, she owns Pearly Paws in Tennessee. She was the one who hosted it. So what she did, we were going to get a hotel or Airbnb. She contacted me and she said, "Sharita, look, I have a big enough house. If everyone wants to come and stay at my house, that's fine." And I'm like, "Pearl, are you sure?" Because it's like 5 or 6 of us coming. And I'm like, "I don't want to invade your house." She was like, "No." She was like, "You're just starting. This would be cheaper for everyone." So honestly, with that, we were blessed with to go stay at Pearl's house. So we stayed at her house. We did dinner. We all did dinner together. We put money together for our dinners. We cooked together. We cooked on the grill. We had lunch and everything. When we did Atlanta, we did an Airbnb. So what I tell a lot of the groomers who wants to do it, especially if we have to get an Airbnb, there may be a small fee for the Airbnb. Are you okay with having to pay a small fee, especially if we have to get one? A lot of them, they's like, "Yeah, that's fine." So basically for the Atlanta one, everyone just had to pay $100. And when they pay their $100, I just paid the difference. And we had our Airbnb for Atlanta. And then Tennessee, we had the hotels, and we actually had gotten a donation from Groomers Tommy. And so that helped with the traveling in the hotel from there.
Okay. So when you went to Tennessee, what happened in Tennessee? Walk me through what happens.
So when we went to Tennessee, so basically what we normally do is we'll go like maybe 2 days before the actual events. Most of the time the events are on the weekends. So we went 2 days before just so we could go to the shop. So what we do is we get there, get settled in. The day before the actual event, we'll go to the shop and look at the shop to see, okay, how can we set up everything? Because most of the time when we do these events, we do bring in like other grooming tables, stand-up tables, just because we may have multiple, and the shop may only have like maybe four grooming tables. So we set up tables, and we all just set them up. We look and figure out, okay, how we're going to set everything up. We bring our own shampoos, we bring our dryers, we have the tables, we have bandanas, we have bows. In Cleveland, I mean in Ohio, the girls that hosted in Ohio, I hardly had to use anything that we had. But so basically we do that. We set up, we figure out how we're going to put everything together. And then that later on that evening, I do a get together for everybody, a meet and greet for everybody, just in case some of the groomers don't know each other. So everybody, once we come together, we're all comfortable with each other and we at least met each other besides just jumping into it and just starting to groom. So basically we do a little dinner, we all meet together, have fun, and then we meet the next morning. Usually they start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I have everybody to please be there between 7:15 and 7:30. Once we get started, basically how these days go It's not like your normal day of grooming. We basically get them in and get them back out. We don't usually use kennels. If there are some dogs that need kennels, we'll definitely use those kennels. I tell a lot of the owners when they apply, if your dog does have any kind of behavior issues, and I feel like it needs to be more of a one-on-one with a groomer, I will basically say we have to stop the services, because sometimes, because it's somewhat fast paced, it's not good for some of these dogs with high anxiety. So, like in Pearl's situation, she opened her shop up to some of those that had behavior issues to come back later on during the week, where it was a little bit more quiet, to be able to help them, and she still did it for a discounted price.
Okay, so they have to fill out an application. So people who
Yes,
want,
ma'am.
all right, tell me about the application.
So our application is basically I have on there, you give me your name, your dog's name, dog's breed, the age. Questions that I do ask on there. Is there any health issues? Are your dog prone to heart conditions, seizures, behavior issues? Because those are things that will determine whether I'm going to be able to choose you. If there's heart conditions, or if there's anything that may cause a seizure, honestly, I'm not going to take them, because I feel like everything that we have going on, and so many people doing things, anything can trigger that seizure. And I don't want to put any stress on the dog that's already having any health issues. So a lot of the times with those situations, when I explain to the pet parents, they totally understand. And usually the groomer of the shop, the owner of the shop, we work something where they can still take care of them. They're still able to be able to get it for free. They just have to do it after we leave, where it's more quieter. So basically they submit their application. I do tell them, please remember, especially if it's in a different state, you are going to get a phone call that's a different area code. Most of the time I text them, because a lot of people will not answer, because they think I'm a bill collector calling.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I'm out here in Washington, but I kept my phone number from Connecticut, which is 203.
Uh-huh.
No, if someone calls me with a 203 area code, it's a telemarketer.
Yes. Yes. So I sent a text.
Anybody else with a 203 area code, I've got them say that I want to pick up the phone. I've got them say the phone. Everybody else, I'm really sorry. You guys are a telemarketer.
Right.
Go to message. If I'm wrong, I'll get the message and I'll call you back. But I've actually, in the almost 5 years I've been here, I've actually yet had to do that. So
Right. So I text them, just because some people are like, who is this for this area code? So I text them just so they'll see. Hey, it's Sharita with Diamond in the Rough calling to get you set up for your free dog grooming. And then as soon as I send that text message, they'll text back immediately. And we'll go ahead and set them up. I'll talk to them and find out everything, how their dog usually acts for grooming. I usually ask, how long has it been since they've been groomed? Because with these events, sometimes you'll find that the dog may have been groomed about 8 weeks ago, maybe 10 weeks, and really they just need help financially. So basically, I'll still take them and everything. We'll get some that's never had a groom, like in Tennessee, we had a Great Pyrenees that had never been groomed before, and the dog, I think if I'm not mistaken, was like 4 or 5 years old. So those situations, honestly, we've been blessed in those situations, because, going into it and the dog is 5 years old and never been groomed, you're like, uh-oh. And this is a big, huge dog. You're like, oh gosh, what am I getting ready to get into? And a lot of these breeds that had never been groomed before, they were excellent. Like, we haven't had any problems. I do have the owners, just like I do with my own business, I have them to sign a liability form, just so whoever shop I'm at, if something was to happen, they have to realize it's not the shop owner's responsibility. So I do have them to sign a waiver whenever they come in. Any of the dogs that are matted, I make sure that the pet parents on the waiver, they understand whenever we start shaving, there's no telling what we may find underneath there. And just explain to them what could happen underneath all that coat and what they could see. So we actually educate the pet parents also. And once we do tell them, like, a lot of these pet parents don't know, that they can cause hematomas on the ears. Whenever you start telling them this stuff and they be like, they look, I had one lady just start crying because she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. She was like, but I didn't know what to do. And she was like, she was going to try to use scissors to cut it.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm glad you did not.
Yes. They're especially around the ears. My vet was telling me the number one injury that he saw as a veterinarian was on the ears.
Yeah.
Owners cutting out mats. See, that was
Yeah.
a injury.
Yep. It's either the ears. I either see on the ears or either on the tip of that tail where sometimes they get matted and they go trying to cut and don't realize that tail is there also. And they tip it off.
Yep. So now, so it's free grooms for the people that are selected.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you take donations there too as well?
We do take donations. I have a little plaque that's set up and it has our PayPal, our Venmo, and our Cash App. And all they have to do is scan the QR code. Because we do have people that say, hey, I want to be able to give you a donation for being able to groom my dog for free. So that's how we get our money also is we get donations for the grooms. We had one lady that had a dog. She was trying to help her neighbor. Her neighbor wouldn't, she applied for a neighbor. I went ahead and accepted. She was going to get the dog. The lady wouldn't answer the phone. She didn't want the dog to get shaved, but it was matted. And she felt bad because she was like, well, I could have allowed somebody else to have that appointment. So she actually brought her dog to the appointment and she could afford it. And whenever I went to go turn around and look back, she had gave me $75. It was a $75 donation for doing her dog. She was like, she just didn't want, she said she felt bad because she knew somebody else could have had that spot and she just didn't want nobody to not show up.
Okay, very nice. Right. So where are you planning to go in the future? What's your next stop?
So our next stop, we're going back to Ohio. We actually are planning to do Florida. I'm thinking about probably doing Florida probably around in July or August. And with that one, we're going to do a little vacation before the actual. So we're doing that. We're definitely going back to Ohio with Denise, and that'll probably be sometime in September. We've actually been asked to come to Utah with Quincy, so I'm trying to get that situated too. And I'm like, okay, so how are we going to get all these dates in here? Because if we're going to the West Coast, I want to go to the West Coast so bad. So that is definitely one we're definitely going to put in there. There was a groomer. I have to get back in contact with them. They actually reached out to me for in California. So I was like, well, if they're in California, then we got Utah. Maybe I can put it where it's a little bit longer tour and we can do both of them. So next stop will be Florida and then we'll be back in Ohio.
Okay. All right. When you're going to do California, when you're scheduling that, let me know that. Okay.
Okay. I sure will.
All right. So before we continue, we have a second sponsor. Woohoo. Okay. So of course the sponsor is actually me. Okay. So question for everybody is, are you ambitious and motivated? Are you looking to make a change in the direction in the pet industry, but you're afraid to take that first step? Or do you are even unsure of what even that first step is? Then create that program. Monthly membership is for you. So how does 17 hours and counting of pre-recorded material, workbooks, and checklist sounds, a monthly group coaching call with me? Point of the program is that you're looking to pivot in the industry, meaning you want to move into teaching, coaching, or even as one of our students has already opened up a grooming school. So if you're interested, just go to createthatprogram.com. Okay, back to you, Sharita. Okay. Where would you like to see Diamond in the Rough go? What do you see as the trajectory?
So one of our goals that we want to do is we definitely want to go to the Caribbeans and be able to give back there. So that is one of our goals. At this moment, all three of us are actually working on our passports. to be able to go into the Caribbeans or into another country to be able to help. My goal is I want the whole world to know who Diamond in the Rough is. I want them to know what we're about, what's going on. It doesn't even have to be in the dog grooming industry. Just letting people know in general, we're here to help. There's so much going on in this world. We just want to be able to give people a time to be able to smile and be able to just give back and know that we're here. We understand. So just give a little bit of time of knowing like the bad stuff that's going on in the world. Don't even worry about it. These couple of hours, we're just going to have fun. So that's our goal. We just want everybody to know who Diamond in the Rough is and who we are and what we do.
All right. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, do you have a website?
So right now our website is getting worked on. I'm getting it actually revamped because I had did it and then I was like, I don't like this. So I'm actually have somebody, my social media manager, I actually just got him because honestly, it's been so hard for me to keep up with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's a lot. And then running your own business and dealing with the nonprofit also. So I actually had to hire a social media manager to try to help me with a lot of this stuff. So they're actually, I asked them, could they redo my website for me? So the website will be coming soon. I will definitely post it on my Diamond in the Rough Facebook page because that's where I usually post a lot of my stuff at is on my Facebook. I do have to get better on the Instagram, but Facebook is really where I post most of my stuff at.
Okay. All right. How do people make donations?
So you can go on our Facebook page, you can go on Instagram and TikTok, and in the link, it has our link tree. If you hit the link tree, it would show you exactly how you can do donations. It will have the links to the Cash App, PayPal, and the Venmo up there.
Okay. Very good. All right. So words of wisdom.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on, give them to me.
So
Putting you on the spot.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So words of wisdom, things that I would definitely tell people is one thing I do say is your past do not dictate your future. I'm a living testimony of you can take the ugliest situation in the world and turn it into something beautiful. So my thing is never give up on what you're doing. It's always possible. When there's a can't, there's you can. So it's all I just want to encourage everybody. If there's something that you want to do and you have your mind frame into it, do it. No matter how people tell you you can't do it, you can't do this, you got to have this, you got to have that. It's definitely possible. And everything does not, oh, yes, a lot of stuff do require financial to be able to do it, but with the right people in your corner, a lot of the times you don't even have to have the finances to get stuff started.
All right. And will you be at an upcoming trade show if people wanted to say hi?
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to go to Pasadena. But what happened is I have show season. So show season actually has asked Diamond in the Rough to come and do their tent sale. So we're one of the vendors at show season. And so I had to go to show season. So I had to make a decision on to go to Pasadena. We had just got done with Ohio, then Pasadena came, and then Groomed came, and then show season. So we had to take a break for February, and we'll be picking back up in March. So we will be at show season tent sale, and then we'll actually be at Groomed also. So we'll be there where if anybody wants to meet us, we will definitely be there. We'll have our little shirts on. Trust me, you'll be able to see us. We're hot pink and neon green. You cannot miss us.
Well,
I
will be at Groomed. Okay.
Yeah, so we would definitely be there. I do plan on trying to do Super Zoo. I definitely will be at Fun in the Sun. We're going to do Hershey. That's a definite. And then I'm trying to pick some more. Rocky Mount, I definitely want to try to do that one. And then there was another one, the one that Quincy she just announced.
Teton Show.
Yes, I want to do that one also too.
Okay, so I will see you around at some of the shows then.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so everybody join us next week when I interview another person in the pet industry making a difference.